This activity is using SCW to configure a security policy. Activity 315, and SCW is Security Configuration Wizard. So one of the first steps is configuring a server should be to configure a security policy. So in this activity, we will configure a new security policy using SCW in the GUI interface format. So because there is a command line that you can use to do it in the command line too. So we're going to click on Start, Administrative Tools, Security Configuration Wizard, and we are going to click Next. We're going to create a new security policy, and we're going to click Next. Leave the default server selected in the Select Server window and click Next. Click the button to view the configuration database when this is done. Then we're going to say yes to use ActiveX. Okay. We're going to click on Server Roles and View Windows. In the View window, we're going to scroll to open the DNS server. Okay. And the required firewall rules for the DNS server are DNS TCP incoming, DNS UDP incoming, and all outgoing TCP, all outgoing UDP. Okay, so then we're going to click Client Features, Administration and Other Options, Firewall, Windows Firewall individually to view the items listed under each one. So under the client features, we have Background Intelligent, Transfer DNS Client, DNS Multicast Client, and all this other stuff. So if you click Network Discovery, it gives you description, required services, required firewall rules for your network discovery, and the status installed and disabled. Administration and other options, that gives you a whole list of stuff. So if we clicked on internet connection sharing, gives you description, required services, and your status. I didn't mean to click that. And services lists all your services, what's running. And Windows firewall rules. Gives you all the firewall rules, which is all kinds of them. Okay, so then we're going to close this. And in the Processing Security Configuration Database window, we're going to click Next. And Next again. Notice the install server roles that are checked, which are DFS replication, DHCP server, and DNS server. Remote SCW configuration and analysis, and volume shadow copy. And we're going to click Next. We're going to scroll to view the installed features and click Next. Net Framework is installed. Local application installation, Microsoft Fiber, channel platform registration service, smart card. Those are our roles. We're going to click Next. Okay, so select additional service. Notice the additional service list and then click Next. So these are additional services that are required. Okay, then in the next window you can select to have SCW disable services not specified via SCW. When you first start to use SCW, it's safest to click Do Not Change the Startup Mode of this service, which is already checked, to avoid unexpected problems with services that have been disabled. So we're going to click Next. And then in the Confirm Service Change windows, here we can review the services that currently start automatically or through manual intervention via the administrator. These are listed under the current setup mode column. Right here, automatic or manual. Okay, notice that the startup modes of these services are changed so it's saying the application experience service is currently set to start in automatic mode. If you configure the change, the service will be in the disabled startup mode when the next security policy is created. These changes help reduce the attack surface of the server. Click Next. Read the information on the security window. Network security. Use this section to configure rules for Windows Firewall with advanced security based on the roles and administrative options you selected. Answer these questions incorrectly might prevent the selected server from communicating with other computers. You can skip this section. If you skip this section, this security policy will not contain firewall settings. And then you can learn more about network security and managing network security risk with SCW by clicking this link. And then we're going to click Next. We're going to scroll through the network security, which are firewall rules applied to protect the function of the security server roles and options. So these are all our rules. Which there's a whole bunch. I suppose if you're looking for just one. And here you can view all rules, rules from selected roles, rules added by the user in SCW, rules auto-generated by SCW, and rules with additional restrictions. And I suppose if you did not want, you wanted to disable one of these, you just take the check mark out of it. You can edit it down here. And I suppose you could probably remove it if you wanted to. Okay, we're going to click Next. In registry settings, use this section to configure protocols used to communicate with other computers. When configured to communicate with computers running earlier versions of Windows, these protocols are valuable to exploit, such as password cracking and man-in-the-middle attacks. So answering these questions incorrectly might prevent computers running earlier versions of Windows from communicating with the selected server. If you do not know the characteristics of the computer that are communicating with the selected server, you should skip this section. So you can put a check mark and skip this section. And if you skip this section, the security policy will not configure registry settings. Alrighty then. So, sorry, my cat's in my way. We're going to click Next, and required SMB security signatures window applies to the server message block protocol, which enables sharing files and folders over a network. Notice that the selections made which are tailored to your server, which are all computers that connect to it satisfy the following minimum operating system requirements, and it has a surplus processor capacity that can be used to sign file and print traffic. And click Next. Next, you might see the required Cat, go away. Sorry. Okay, next you might see the required LDAP signing window. This window enables you, which I'm not seeing that window. And this is outbound authentication methods. Select the methods that selected server users uses to authenticate the remote computers. Domain accounts, local accounts to the remote computers, file sharing passwords on Windows 95, Windows 98, and Windows Millennium. So, I'm going to go ahead and click Next. And then this is your inbound authentication methods. The following information is used to determine the inbound LAN manager authentication levels and whether LAN manager hashes are stored. Users with local accounts on the selected server need to connect from computers that require LAN management authentication, and computers that have not been configured to use NTL MV2 authentication. NTL MV2 authentication requires client computers to have the incompatibility level registry value set to at least 3. Okay, we're going to go next. Registry setting summary. Okay. These are your registry settings summary. Before continuing, confirm that your registry settings are correct. Since I haven't changed anything, I'm assuming these are correct. So if applied to selected server, the security policies would use the following registry settings. I kind of got lost in the instructions here on this because they were just a little bit different, and it kind of threw me off a little bit. So sorry for kind of acting like my head's in the cloud here, because it kind of is. Okay, read the information about the audit policy. Audit policy. Use this section to configure auditing based on your auditing objectives. The auditing policy determines the success and failure events that are logged on, as well as the file system objects that are audited. Auditing file system objects can degrade system performance and can result in the large number of events generated. Warning: any system access control lists specified in this section and applied via the resilient policy cannot be removed using the SCW rollback. You can choose to skip this section, but if you skip this section, the security policy will not configure auditing. Okay, and then it says next. Okay, in the system audit policy window, we want to click Audit Successful and Unsuccessful Activities. So we want to click this one right here. This option audits both successful changes and failed attempts to system and configuration files, allowing you to determine who changed system or configuration files, as well as detect attempts to make unauthorized changes. It will degrade system performance more than auditing just successful activities. This section gives you, okay, we already read that. We're going to click next, and so under the current setting column, that not audited is listed right here. When you are configuring a new installation, this is because you'll later need to configure specific activities to audit, as shown later in chapters of this book. Also notice that under the policy setting column, success failure is enabled. I do not see what they're talking about here. Okay. Policy setting column. Oh, success or failure. Got it. Okay. Click next. And in the Save Security Policy window, click next. In the Security Policy File Name window, enter security plus your initials. And it says, and you do not need to type .xml at the end of the name. Click next. Well, okay, we're going to try it that way. I guess that works. Okay. Click Apply now, and then click Next. Okay, record the folder location, such as where it went, in the security policy in the completing the security configuration window, and click Finished. So that pretty much concludes this video, because it's doing its thing, and as soon as it applies the security policy, then yeah, anyway, it's pretty much done. So here, and let it do its thing, I guess. I think if you're doing this and it wasn't an activity to do, you would have to kind of investigate a little bit more about your securities and what you want to do. Instead of just walk through it like I just did, you have to really kind of know what you want. Come on, come on, come on. Anytime now, anytime. Alright, well, I'm going to end this video because this is pretty much done. So thanks for watching my video.